DEBx, amplifying voices, accelerating change.
Please help me welcome to the stage, Garrett Davis.
We are taught that goals play a huge role in who we are and how we grow as a person. Coming into my adult years, I set some pretty hefty goals for myself. $1.2 million NBA contract, Nike sneaker deals, press conferences with the Lakers, Frosted Flake commercials, and a new red Pontiac GTO. I'm a simple man. I knew that achievements are what make you, and I was ready to show the world what I was going to become. Boy, did my ego have a hold of me then. I had this beautiful vision of my future, but I could have never imagined the damage I was going to cause myself along the way in trying to achieve these goals. Despite the fact that I hadn't played basketball competitively in a couple years, I saw this as a skill that could be my ticket to become someone worthy. So I told my friends and family, in 2 years, I'd be a pro player. They laughed and thought I was crazy. But on January 21st, 2013, 2 years from that bold statement, I showed them. I got signed with an agent, and that's that first major step to becoming a pro. I could see my future around the corner, and I worked even harder to obtain it. I worked out 3 times a day between shooting drills, lifting weights, and running full games. It was exhausting, and the workouts took a toll on me. But I wasn't going to fail. I spent countless dollars on exposure camps to get the look I needed. I even traveled across the country just to get the look to prove that I was worthy of this path. Whatever it took, I was going to make it happen. I was going to become someone. But this intensity to reach my goal had an impact. I had pushed myself so hard that within the first 3 months, I broke my foot. And then 4 months later, I broke it again. The bone completely snapped in my 5th metatarsal, and they had to put a screw back in the bone just to stabilize it. Then, 4 months later, just as I'm starting to get my legs back, I broke my thumb. I started recreationally using Vicodin and all the pain meds they had given me to cope with all my injuries. I remember countless days of drinking to avoid my reality, but the writing was on the wall. Despite offers to work out with the Kings, the Phoenix Suns, the Los Angeles Lakers, my body was just incapable of continuing. And I had to make the difficult decision to walk away from my goal. I felt I let everybody down. But the truth was, the only person I let down was myself. And I was devastated. You see, the NBA player Garrett had become my identity. And without that identity, I didn't feel I'd be able to get the resources needed to accomplish those things that were important to me, like inspiring others to their own greatness. The goal of becoming a big-name athlete was only a means to an end. But I had gotten so consumed with hitting my goal that I'd forgotten why I set that goal to begin with. And without achieving this goal, how could I inspire people now? The funny thing was, though, I had already had a voice that drew attention long before I set that goal of being someone worthy of being listened to. I was asked to host talent shows at school because I had a reputation of someone who was capable of being the MC. I was chosen to deliver the morning announcements at school. I was in plays and delivered poetry in front of strangers, always gaining accolades by the audience. Come to think of it, I had already been using my voice. And this is when I started to realize I didn't need to achieve a specific goal that made me someone in order to make the difference that I wanted to make. You may have heard the saying, you have to let go of the person you are in order to become the person you want to be. But what if life doesn't have to be that way? What if just being you is enough? What if the person you are today is worthy? Can you imagine how less stressful that would be? What goals have you set that have consumed a little too much of your life? Maybe you want to be a better father, but you have it in your head. You need a 100K job to do that. Or maybe you're putting in overtime at work and you're missing crucial time with your children and loved ones that you're never going to get back. Or maybe you're like me and you know you're destined for the big stage as an athlete and entertainer, but you're giving up too much of the person you are to get there. What are you sacrificing to achieve these goals? I suggest that one thing we sacrifice is our present-day happiness. While we have all heard it's the journey, not the destination, as a society, it appears we've all forgotten about that. We can be found saying things like, well, once I achieve this goal, then I'll be a success, or once I reach my goal, then I'll be happy. And this is where I start to see a major disconnect in the minds of people. We become so achievement-oriented that we lose ourselves, like I did. We get caught in this constant cycle of trying to achieve something in the future, when our focus should be right here, right now. We need to detach from the outcome of our goals, because in doing so, we can alleviate our emotional investment in the result. Our happiness should be celebrated as someone who is willing to set these goals and be a better version of the person we are today, not the person we will become tomorrow. I read a quote from the spiritual guru Osho that really resonates with me. Be, don't try to become. Now listen when I say this. I'm not saying don't set goals at all. And I don't think Osho is either. I just think that setting goals is a slippery slope. Goals can be like climbing Mount Everest. You will spend a tremendous amount of time and money preparing to reach the peak. But when you get there, you can only spend 15 minutes at the top, or you die. All that training for 15 minutes of glory? And on top of that, statistically, those who die on the mountain, they die on the descent because they're just too tired, or they run out of oxygen, and they just can't finish. You die after you've achieved it. There's nothing wrong with the goal of Mount Everest. I'd like to see the view on the top of that mountain as well. This is just an illustration of what our goals are doing to us. We use up all of our resources for 15 minutes of glory. It becomes a never-ending game of one destination to get to, then another goal to achieve, then another moment to be at. And the cycle just keeps repeating itself. So what's the solution? Set your goals, but immediately let go of the outcome. Shift your focus from the future to the present. Don't worry about the end or how you're going to get there, because by setting the goal, you're already reaching for a higher level. And isn't growth the point of the goal in the first place? Then get to work, but enjoy the ride. Achieving won't make you who you are. Being is what makes you who you are. You are already it. So just relax in the truth of that. And for me, who am I today? I'm a man who's, by society's terms, is a failure. I set goals and didn't reach some of them, including my heftiest one of being an NBA player. I'm also a man who chooses to look at my goals a little differently today. I've realized no matter how it all lines up, I am worthy of reaching them. While I never played in an NBA game, nor got that red GTO, or appeared in those Frosted Flake commercials, I am here delivering my message to you. I'm making an impact. Imagine that. What I thought was going to be my message years ago has become something totally different. My ego told me that I was going to inspire people with my story of drive, passion, and success. But the truth of my story has been how failure to reach my goals has shown me I've always been worthy to be the things that I wanted to achieve. I was always it. Thank you.